I kind of want to talk about your mom.
Yeah.
If that's all right. I would kind of love to know like about her. Like, what was she like? Her energy. Like, what are some things that you loved about her?
My mom, so growing up, my mom was just like, she brought everyone into the house and made them feel like she was like they were part of the family. I think that was the quality that I loved most about her. And whenever I was younger, I think that I didn't always realize that I loved it. Like I was like, oh my God, you're being annoying, you know?
Yeah.
But now I look back at those qualities and I'm like, I miss them so much. But she's just like the kindest person. She took anybody in. We had like foster kids growing up, like living with us, and like, you know, kids from school that, you know, didn't have the best living situation that like came in. My mom took them under. She would like pay for kids' lunches that, you know, they couldn't pay for their lunches anymore. Like she would go and pay off their lunches or things like that. Like my mom just had the biggest heart and always took care of everyone around her. She was also so funny, always dancing, always making up songs and like weird dance moves. Like she had this one dance move called the one paw dog, and you just like would go like this. And she loved to embarrass us. Like I remember whenever we were in elementary school, she would come in wearing like a big old rainbow wig.
Oh my gosh.
And eat lunch with us, like me and my siblings. And I was like, oh my God, I want to die. But she just always was like a ball of energy, so much fun, so positive. And yeah, even like whenever she was really sick, like she was always bringing light into any room that she came into, always telling the nurses how great they were doing. And even though she was like really sick or, you know, not feeling great, I feel like she always made sure that the people around her felt good.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
What do you think that's just how she always was, or was there something growing up? Because I feel like as like a parent, you have your own kids to look after, but like, you know, fostering kids and bringing kids, like did anything she grew up with, like, do you think had an effect on that?
She definitely had like a hard childhood growing up. And she always said that, you know, her goal in life was to be a better mom than her mom was to her. My grandma is a great person, but I think that my grandma had her own struggles in life, and my mom wanted to make sure that we all always felt loved and like we were all very important. And my mom, whenever she was younger, she got kicked out of her house, and she had to live with like a friend, things like that. She had to join the army because she didn't really have another choice. Kind of, you know?
Yeah.
I think that the army gave her a lot of structure and stuff. That's how my parents met, was in the army.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she had a hard childhood growing up, and she was definitely a very protective parent, pretty strict on us. But I think that it's because of how her childhood was growing up, for sure. Yeah.
When was she diagnosed?
So she was originally diagnosed, I can't remember what year, but she was diagnosed about probably more than that. I was in high school whenever she first got diagnosed, and she went through chemo and radiation. She had a double mastectomy, and then she was in remission for about 2 years, and then it came back and it metastasized to her bones. So, well, it was on her bones, and then it metastasized to all her organs, and that's how she passed away. But like whenever a cancer moves, for instance, it originally was breast cancer, but then it came back as bone cancer. It's still considered breast cancer because that's where it started. So, yeah. But she had metastatic breast cancer, stage 3 and 4 originally.
What stage was it at when she caught it?
3 and then 4.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
She had 2 different.
What, did she like feel a lump, or how did she, like what prompted her to go get checked?
So it's actually crazy. So she found a lump in her armpit, like right around here. And I remember she made all of us feel it to know what it felt like and everything. And she went in and got it checked, and they did like some kind of like ultrasound or some kind of scan like that. And they're like, no, it's benign. Like it's fine. You're good. And then she had like a gut feeling, and she was like, if it's not supposed to be there, like I'd like to get it removed. She got it removed and then found out she had stage 3 and stage 4 breast cancer. The type of tumor it was like you couldn't kind of see that it was cancerous or something like that. So if she would have waited a little bit longer and then like the tests came back or whatever, like who knows how long she would have had. We probably wouldn't have been able to have her for as long as we did, you know?
Yeah.
But she was really healthy. I mean, not really healthy, but like she went through it well, and like in her remission, she was good. And then whenever it came back in her bones, then it was just really aggressive, and she passed away in about like three months or so.
Does breast cancer or cancer run in your family?
So cancer does.
Okay.
But I'm debating if I think I'm going to get the BRCA
I was
testing.
just gonna ask that.
Yeah. I just talked to my doctor literally like probably 2 weeks ago about getting it done. For a while, I didn't want to get it because I was like, I don't really want to know because I don't want to live my life like scared.
Yeah.
In a sense, but then at the same time, it's like if I do know if I have the gene, like I could be even more careful and like preventative. And my mom had all of these books. Once the cancer came back in her bones, she quit her job. My dad was going to take out his life or his like in his work stuff, whatever. He was going to take it all out. They were going to go to Mexico. They were going to do all of the testing or like all of the research that they could. My mom was watching videos every day, taking notes of anything that she could do, but it just like happened too fast that they weren't able to. Like my dad wasn't able to get the money for them to go do like this intensive like care in Mexico and all of this stuff. Yeah. But they were trying to do all of that. But yeah, I'm honestly glad that she wasn't having to suffer for as long as I think they said 6 months, and she passed away in about 3. I'm glad that she didn't have to suffer like for 2 more months because she was like having a really hard time.
Yeah. Was she on chemo or anything after it came back, or?
Yeah, she had like radiation like pills that she would take and everything. But she was having to take like morphine every day. Like her bones were breaking in her sleep. So yeah, it was hard for her.
Yeah.
And she like towards the end.
Take your time, you're good.
After a month about, she had a stroke, and she had a lot of fluid in her brain. So she was just like, she didn't really know who anyone was, and she was really scared. So I think that was the hard part, just seeing her like not know who was taking care of her. Or like my dad would try and like bathe her or something, and she was like terrified. Like she didn't know who anyone was. She thought my sister was her sister. And I think that it was just hard for like everyone, especially her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that definitely adds like such a level of, I mean, it's already like hard for the family. And, you know, I worked as a nurse and I got to see like a lot of that. And I've had family members that have had similar situations to hers, but it is just, it brings the situation to such a different level.
Yeah.
When that happens. Obviously I can't imagine like what you've gone through and hearing like how like wonderful of a woman she is, which I feel like just, you know, makes it that much harder. But how has your grieving process been? Like what did those first few months look like, and how do you feel it's evolved?
Yeah, I think it's sad. Like you never really, no one knows how to grieve. Yeah. You just kind of figure it out along the way. And a lot of people ask me like, oh my gosh, like how do you have this positive outlook on it now? But it definitely took me time to get to where I am now. At the beginning, I was really depressed. I missed my mom so much. She was like, I was really close to her. We all were. And like at the beginning, I just wanted to push it all away. I didn't want to think about it. I was just going out all the time. I was eating terrible. I was drinking a lot. I was just trying to go out and like take my mind off of everything. I was in college. I started like doing really bad in school. And finally, I think that I just kind of had this like almost like switch in my brain that was like, my mom wouldn't want me to, be like this. And so I started slowly like getting into working out. And I think that honestly, that helped me a lot with my mental health and being able to put my frustrations out through like weightlifting or running. And I was able to like, while my brain was going crazy, whenever I was working out, I feel like it kind of went still. Yeah. And that helped me a lot, honestly, through grieving. And then I started journaling and I started, listening to different podcasts or writing letters to her. And yeah, I think that it was just like a slow process, but also looking at it in like the light that my mom would have wanted me to. And honestly, now I'm just like, I feel so thankful that I was able to have my mom for as long as I did, because a lot of people never have a mom like mine. So I'm like, I do feel really lucky. And my mom shaped me a lot as a human. She shaped all of my siblings. I feel like we all have really big hearts and like want to help others because of the way that she raised us.
That's so special.
Yeah.
I literally like got lost in everything you were saying, and I completely forgot like the question that I was gonna ask. But I want to know how has your outlook on life changed since her passing?
I think that I just want to make sure that the impact that I leave is positive, and I think I want to like emulate my mom and like bring her joy and her love for people like in the way that I live my life now.
Yeah, I think you do a good job of that. Even just like, I mean, even when I saw you the other day at the Dancing with the Stars taping, like just you're like so like you're just warm and you embrace so well. You're like, oh my gosh, hi. Like I feel like you just have that warm like energy about you. So you definitely are doing a good job at that. But yeah, grief is such like a crazy thing, and it's something that we talk about. It's probably our most common topic on this podcast, which is kind of crazy, but I think it helps. Like it's something that everyone pretty much has gone through or will go through, and it's universal, but at the same time, it looks so different for everyone. Yeah. So we always like want to ask people that have been on like what their process has been, and it is so different for everyone. But I love, this is going to sound weird, but it's going to end better. I love seeing you get emotional about your mom, because we had Stacy Chapman, who is one of the moms of the Idaho murder victims, on, and we were talking about grief, and, you know, she still cries about her son, and she's like, I'm happy that I do, because I still feel, and like, you know, sometimes I don't want to cry, but it's a reminder to me that I still like, he's still like with me, and I still like remember like how he was and his presence. So I think it's like really special that like you still have that about your mom.
Definitely. I know. I'm like, I do feel, like I also feel lucky that I feel this pain, because that just shows the impact of like my mom and like how much, you know, love that I have for her and she had for me. And like my grief also, it's like, it comes in waves. Sometimes it's like I have a really hard week, or like certain things now. It's like whenever I get really, really happy, I sometimes miss her extra.
Yeah.
Because I wish that I was able to like tell her all these great things. Or like whenever Joey and I are talking about like the wedding or like things like that, it makes me sad to know that like she's not physically going to be there.
Yeah. Do you feel like that has an effect on how you guys like are wanting to like wedding plan moving forward?
Yeah, I think to an extent. I think that it just reminds me that like the wedding is about him and I and like the people that we love most being there. And it's not about like all of the extra, you know, bells and whistles that come sometimes with all that stuff.
Yeah. I have a friend, she lost her dad, and it was very similar thing. She was like, what am I going to do? Like, he's supposed to like walk me down the aisle. And like, she's like, I don't even know if I want to have a wedding. And she just had to like remind herself, and, you know, after talking with friends and stuff, that it is like truly just about like you and your partner that day. Obviously that doesn't make, you know, it still means you're going to miss that person on that day. But like, I think it's important to still like celebrate it and like be able to just still have that day for the two of you and, you know, other people you want to have party with you.
I definitely, and I also think about ways that like I could like slightly honor her. And then also like Joey's grandma, who passed away recently, who, you know, he wishes could have been there for that. Like I think about little ways that we could honor the people that aren't there physically anymore, but I think that they're still, you know, watching over us, and they're going to watch it all just from a different seat.
For sure. Honestly, they probably have the better seat.
Better seat, yeah. They're not going to have to rubberneck or anything.
That's funny. Is butterflies your thing with your mom? How did that come to be?
I don't know. I just like every time that things would happen, that whenever I was thinking about her or anything, I would see a butterfly or anything after. So for instance, whenever I got the call that they wanted me to go on The Bachelor, I was a little like, oh, do I actually want to do this? Because it's a long interview process. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to get asked to be on it. I was like, we'll see what happens. And then I was a little worried. I was like, I don't know what I should do. And then there was like I walked out of my work, and there was a butterfly that was flying right in front of it. And I was in the middle of downtown New Orleans. Like,
oh, wow.
yeah, I was like, why is there a little butterfly down here? It smells really bad over here. Yeah. And yeah, I think that was like a thing for me that always, it just kind of like, anytime I feel like I needed her, I would see one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just started noticing them like all the time. On Joey and I's hometown date, there was a butterfly following me around the whole day. And then we were doing separate interviews and it came over to me, was flying around me. All the producers were like freaking out. One of them started crying. Like all the camera guys were like in awe, started flying around me. And then it went over to Joey and started flying like over to him. And he was like way over there.
Wow.
It was crazy.
I have chills right now.
I know.